Hello, lovely humans. It's been such a long time since I made one of these, and I know I did say I was going to be making them while I was in hospital, even though we have no internet. I just don't know how I was going to make that happen. And then, like, the week after, the week that I got out, and it was all just a big mess. So now that I've been out for 2 weeks, yay, and have a free day, I thought it might be a good thing to actually sit down and do, because free days don't tend to end that well for me, so at least this kind of gives me something to sit down and work on, even though I haven't planned it. So I'm just going to be answering a whole heap of questions from my Ask FM and from my Tumblr Ask box, and I am not going to be able to get through all of them, unfortunately, so I'm sorry if I miss yours. I'll answer in the next one, and as usual, I'm going to be skipping through the ones that are very clearly asking for unhelpful information that I don't want to be responsible for giving, because I think it's counterproductive. Yay! I hope you're all doing well, by the way, and thank you so much for all your kindness and support, especially over the last few days, which have been more interesting than usual. So yeah, it's honestly really appreciated, and I hope I'm able to kind of get that through enough. I don't think I do, but do my best. Okay, so the first one I'm going to answer is from Ask FM. I seem to be doing all the right things lately. That's in quotation marks from them, not from me. Like what my psych and social worker has suggested. I've been going for long walks and runs once, sometimes twice in the day, in hope it'll improve my mood and sleep, but then these both seem to have gotten a lot worse, and I feel so stuck. Have you got any advice? Mood and sleep are such tricky ones. Honestly, my heart goes out to you, because I know firsthand. I definitely don't know the depths of both of these, because I know that a lot of people struggle with them. But for me personally, I've had a lot of issues. The problem with both of them is that there isn't a quick fix, and that's super frustrating, because we're here suffering with like an inability to sleep, and like our mood is down here, and we just want to feel better, but unfortunately, and it's just so frustrating, there are no quick fixes. So what you're doing is great. So things like keeping up a good exercise regime and solid nutrition and sleep hygiene are things that my psych has told me are really important for sleep and mood, and are pretty kind of well known within the whole community as being things that are just really important to sustaining well-being. Having said that, it's not that simple, and what works for some people doesn't work for other people. So for me, on the topic of sleep, I can keep an amazing sleep kind of hygiene set up and do everything that they tell you to do. So have a hot shower before you go to bed, because the cooling down of your body is supposed to help sedate you, and no screens for a certain period before bed, and don't do anything on your bed except go to sleep on your bed, because then your body will associate it with something other than sleep. All of those things are really good to try, because I know they work for so many people, but for example, to me, they do absolutely nothing. So my sleep is so messy that I rely on medication, and I don't see any shame in that. I haven't even found a medication that works yet, but that's just kind of an example as to how kind of different it can be for people in terms of what does and what doesn't work. But yeah, that's what I would honestly recommend for sleep. I have found that herbal teas, mainly peppermint and chamomile, do actually help me, and I also find that kind of I don't go into my bedroom before I go to sleep anyway, but I don't do anything on my bed at all. Even when I was like in a different room, in hospital, whatever, don't do anything on your bed. Don't lie in it to watch TV shows. Don't do anything except sleep in it, because you want your body to associate it with sleep. And we kind of underestimate the importance and the like effect of those associations in our brains. So that's kind of the best I can give in terms of sleep. Mood is also a tricky one. It's definitely something to continue working through with your psych. If you have a psychiatrist, or if you do think it's become that much of an issue that it's important to bring up with the doctor, which a lot of the times it is, and it does, because depression is a chemical imbalance. It's not just we decide to feel like shit. A lot of the times it does actually take some form of SSRI or SNRI or some kind of antidepressant to just give us that little bit of a bump so that we're able to make the changes in our lives that we weren't able to make before the antidepressant was there. So, like for example, before I went on my medication, I was doing all of the things that they told me to do, and it just wasn't making a difference. But then when I found the right medication, it just kind of lifted my mood that tiny little bit, that I was able to make the changes they wanted me to make, and they actually worked. Now, I'm not saying that medication is the answer for everybody. It most certainly isn't, and I'm all for talk therapies and stuff over medication most of the time. But that's not to say that it shouldn't be considered at all. Having said that, things that help me when I'm feeling awful are sticking to a routine. So sometimes you can't get out of bed. That's okay. Honestly, if the best thing for you to do is going to be to stay in bed, I reckon stay in bed. But then if it gets to the point that it's 2 days and you're in bed, you need to kind of be like, look, I need to do something about this. So I like to stick to a routine. I like to make sure I can get up, go for a walk, get out of the house. Just trying to do the opposite of the way that you're feeling can kind of trick your brain into not feeling amazingly instantly better, but just into, feeling a tiny bit better. For me as well, I don't know what it is, but lots of people like to stay in their pajamas or just really stay in their pajamas and don't do anything. For me, if I'm in a shit mood, staying in my pajamas and not kind of doing the basics of self-care, like washing my face and stuff, is probably the worst I could do. I feel instantly 3 times better if I put clothes on, do my makeup, and do something to my hair. Like, make myself look and feel a little bit more presentable. That's just kind of what works for me, but it's just a matter of trying a whole bunch of different things, and my heart really does go out to you because, it is tough, but you will get there. Do not give up. I promise you, you will get there. Okay. A recent embarrassing moment. Oh, sniffing there. Probably most recent was yesterday when I got a phone call from my psychiatrist that woke me up, and I started crying to him, and that wasn't the embarrassing thing. I don't care about crying to people. But usually I'm so used to crying to my mum, and my mum and I end our phone calls with love you too. So as we were ending the phone call and he's saying goodbye, I just said love you too, just, I don't like my psychiatrist. I can't say we're on the love page. So that was quite embarrassing. Luckily he he understood after I explained to him, and he thought it was funny and not weird, and I'm not a predator. So that was quite embarrassing though. Okay, what is your biggest regret? I wish I was the kind of person that could turn around and say I don't regret anything, because everything builds character, and I honestly do believe that, but there are things I regret. Okay, like at the moment probably it's more in my head because I'm experiencing the symptoms of it, but I regret taking laxatives. I knew before I took them that they wouldn't do anything, but I was just like, oh, I don't care. But yes, that's probably my biggest regret, even in all of my ED behaviours, is because it really screwed my body up, and it's continuing to screw my body up, even though I don't use them anymore. But big yes, regrets. The end. Full stop. Okay, why do you / most people with eating disorders feel the need to be so thin, and why are they so scared to gain weight? I don't have an answer to this that is not gonna sound really brutal, but I mean, the reason that people with eating disorders generally have a fear of gaining weight is because that's one of the symptoms of an eating disorder. Yeah, sorry. I don't have any kind of insight beyond that. I mean, it's a symptom of an eating disorder. That's kind of it. I think there are a lot of other factors like societal pressures and things like that, but the most basic answer to that is we have an unhealthy focus on our bodies because we have eating disorders. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't kind of add any extra to that. Okay, so should people who have suffered from OSFED, or EDNOS, however you guys know it as, for 2 to 3 years, always remaining at healthy weights, go on point in ballet? Can they develop osteoporosis? Like, should they go on point if they're experiencing hip and knee pains on and off during walking, running? This is difficult and not really a question I can answer because it's always going to be up to the individual and the individual's medical team. I know for me, I'm not allowed to go on point, full stop, anymore. That's not indefinite though. There are a lot of risk factors. It generally depends on your own personal like bone density, and your weight's not necessarily the go-to determinant. It does depend on your bone density, so that kind of question is definitely something that you need to bring up with your GP or someone who at least has the results of your bone scans. Yes, so did you ever go out drinking and stuff during the bad period of your eating disorder? If so, how did you deal with guilt, if you felt guilty, that is? Well, for me, I haven't had a drink in quite a while. Not that I would call this necessarily the bad period of my eating disorder, but it's not a great period. But no, I did used to have a problem with alcohol, and I was quite a binge drinker, and I was very much so like a party person, but that was a coping mechanism that was in place when my when the anorexia wasn't as strong. It wasn't really strong at all. I was definitely engaging in disordered behaviours, but not restriction and things like that. So no, I have never really been out drinking. I haven't been out drinking like that in a good 2.5 years now. I'm actually quite boring. How old were you when you first got your period, and what was your reaction when you got your period for the first time? I think it was in the break between primary school and high school, so I was like 12 and a half. My mum had like prepared me for this moment since I was like 8 years old, so I remember everywhere we went, she would take this like Roxy pencil case full of like pads and tampons in it, just in case I got my period, just in case. We were on holiday, so when I was in year 7, my parents took my brother and I out of school for 6 months, and we went to drove around Australia, and I think we were in Cairns. I don't know why I would remember this. It's not like it was that big of a deal. And I just remember being like, fuck. This is it. I'm a woman. No, it was just my, I just remember kind of being for like 10 minutes being like, I know Mum has a stash of enough sanitary items to give to the entire of the state, but I don't know how to ask her for them. So that was my biggest dilemma, and then I asked her for them, and that was it. Yeah. I remember because I haven't had my period in ages, but when I came out of hospital once, I did get it for like a month, and I think I was more in shock and more kind of like, what the hell do I do at that point than I was when I was 12, so bit of a change. What qualities do you think is important in a psychologist? I don't think, this is weird, because what's a good psychologist for one person may not necessarily be a good psychologist for another person. I know for me, I've had psychologists who've been great. I thought they'd been great, and then I look at them now and I'm like, wow, they were actually more of a friend to me than a psychologist. Or they actually weren't that great. They were pretty shit. for me, but that's not to say that they would not work for someone else. So I don't think there's a blanket answer to this question. I think it's a matter of finding someone who works for you. So it's also about being open-minded, because I always thought that I would never be able to have a male psychologist or psychiatrist or anyone kind of like male. But now everyone bar my nurse on my treatment team is male, and my treatment team at the moment is the best for me that it's ever been. So definitely be open-minded, and if your psychologist or your doctor or whoever is not working for you, do not be afraid to say so. You don't have to be like, oh, I think you suck and I would like to move to someone else, goodbye. But there are really nice ways of going about it. I got changed out of my mental health nurse because it wasn't working, and the way that I went about it was I went to the head of my care team, who at that point was my GP, and I was like, look, I honestly don't think that it's really clicking with this person, and I'm not really getting out of it what I think I should be getting out of it. Do you have any kind of suggestions? And his suggestion was, well, here's another person. So yeah, just don't think it's your fault if it's not working. Sometimes it's just the fact that, you know, you're not going to be friends with everyone, because not everyone likes everyone. So why would we think that automatically the one psychologist that we're given is going to work for us? So sometimes, yeah, it's a matter of like seeing who works for you and who doesn't. What made you feel different as a child? I don't know. I had a weird childhood. I think the weirdest thing for me as a child was that I didn't really have a childhood. Looking back on it now, I had a dancing hood. So from like the age of 4 or 5, I was dancing competitively, which means after school, every day, dancing rehearsal up until like a stupid hour at night, way past my bedtime. Saturdays spent dancing. Every school holidays, we didn't have school holidays, we had dancing competitions. Things like that. So my childhood revolved around dancing, and I didn't think it was weird at the time. Obviously, I loved it, but looking back on it now, I don't know how healthy it was, and I think a lot of other kids probably would have thought it was weird, but that's okay. I am switching to Tumblr now. Okay. First one, what is your favourite makeup brand? Would you ever consider doing a makeup tutorial? I love how you do your makeup. Well, thank you. That's really sweet. I don't have a favourite makeup brand. I don't think that there is a brand that is like a holy grail brand at all, because I think that there are different products. I just go by products. I do like to use makeup that is cruelty free. Most of my stuff is NARS or Hourglass. That's just kind of how it's happened, because I like their products. But yeah, in terms of the makeup tutorial, I would consider doing a makeup tutorial. My issues with it are, I haven't done one before. It would be weird. B, the only camera I have are the camera on my phone and the camera on my laptop, which I'm currently using, and they're not really the best in terms of getting detail and stuff in. So I also don't know how helpful it would be, and what kind of makeup tutorial am I doing? Like an everyday makeup tutorial, or like this is how I do my makeup, or it's just, I would consider it, but I don't know how I would do it. So if you have any kind of questions or tips as to what you guys want, I'd love to hear them, because I need to go off that, I think. At what age were you diagnosed with anorexia? What age did you realise you had anorexia? So I've had an eating disorder since I was probably 14. I don't know how old I was when I was officially diagnosed. I actually can't remember, but it wasn't when I was 14. So, I was engaging in stupid eating disordered behaviours when I was 14. But the first psychiatrist I saw was when I was 16, so... I think from like the age of 9 I was dieting, or not even following diets from like the internet or off magazines. I made my own up, thinking I was this full-on dietitian at the age of 9 years old. So, Sorry, I don't remember. That's weird. Okay. For the Q&A vid, what are 3 things you are proud of? They can be accomplishments, things you've done for yourself, others, compliments, etc. Okay, 3 things I'm proud of. This is hard. No, I'm proud of the fact that I am still here today, which is cheesy, but we've had a lot of times when it was close to not being here, so I am still here. That's probably my biggest thing. I'm proud of my brain for still being able to function to the capacity that it has, even though I've been so unwell, like when I was duxing things in high school, and sorry, I'm getting over the flu, and like the grades I got and the grades I'm continuing to get, so I'm quite proud of my kind of like academic ability. It's the 3rd thing that I'm proud of. This is gonna sound, I just feel so conceited. I'm also like proud of my, even though it's not necessarily healthy, apparently, according to my psychologist, my ability to put other people before me. I don't know. Because I value that in other people, I value that in myself, therefore I'm proud of it, I guess, by that logic. Please ignore everything I just said, because it made absolutely 0 sense, but yeah, they're probably the 3 things I would choose. I would love to hear your recovery story. I don't, okay, in all honesty, I probably will not do a recovery story. I don't think I can do one because I'm not recovered. If that makes sense. Like, my story at the moment is kind of like trying, not doing so well, go to hospital, trying, not doing so well, go to hospital. Or trying, doing a little bit better, and then not doing so well. So obviously recovery is like that. It's not a straight line. But I don't know what you mean, because I've seen like the videos on YouTube that are like my story, and the person comes out the other end and they're all like, yeah, I'm doing really well, I'm recovered. And because that's not the case for me at the moment, I don't think I can make one of those videos. But if that's not the type of video that you're asking for, then I'm sorry, that's just how I've interpreted it. But maybe, yeah, if you can just elaborate a little bit more, I might be able to, but yeah. Please tell me your top study tips. I'm in urgent need of inspiration. I am the worst person to ask. I'm a rote learner, so I write things over and over and over and over again to the point that I can recite a chapter of a textbook. That's how I study, and it's not a good way to study apparently, but it's what works for me. I think it's just a matter of finding what does work for you. I like to make my notes pretty. At least my initial set of notes are really like nice to look at, because if they're not pretty, then they don't sit in my head nicely. Weird thing, the pen that I use to study, I use one pen to study, and I take that pen in with me to the exam because it's a memory cue, it's a retrieval cue. I get people, Quizlet is a really good app because you can do the questions and answers on your phone. And I get people to test me, mainly my mum, the poor soul, after dinner during high school, and at exam time at uni, she is handed my notes and asked to give me questions based on them. So she's been really lovely in helping with that, but that's what works for me. But yeah, I'm a rote learner. Just incorporating colours and sticky notes and things like that. I honestly think making your notes look aesthetically pleasing, and the whole process of making like nice palm cards and a nice kind of like journal set of notes and things like that is studying, because you're taking the time to make it look good, but at the same time you are looking at the notes and you're absorbing what they're saying. So that's my theory, at least. I'm going to stop now because this is 25 minutes long. It's going to take me like a year to upload, but yeah, so I hope I answered those questions okay, and I hope that your day is lovely. And yeah, if you guys have any other kind of videos that you want me to make, or questions or anything like that, just let me know on AskFM or message me, or my Tumblr Ask box. The link is in my bio. But yeah, I hope you all have a beautiful day and you're as kind to yourselves as you have been and always are to me and other people. So yes, goodbye.